Euaoi.
With the many streaming services out there today, Netflix is pretty much the innovator, the OG of the streaming service industry. Netflix still tries to find new ways to innovate itself to help it stand out from the others, such as cracking down on password sharing and adding unnecessary LGBT characters to every program. On a more positive note, another way Netflix tries to stand out from its competition is through offering interactive content. Netflix really seems to be dedicated to interactive content because there are a lot of interactive specials currently on Netflix. To find out if they're legitimately good or if they're just a cheap gimmick, I watched a lot of interactive specials and these were my findings. One thing to note is that I didn't watch all of the interactive specials because some of them are over an hour long and I don't have time for that. For this video, I will showcase the interactive special I watched and walk you through the decisions I made. Because of this, there are obvious spoilers for these specials, so if there's a special that grabs your attention and you want to try it yourself, I'd suggest skipping that part of the video. With all of that out of the way, let's get interactive on Netflix. The first Netflix interactive special I'll be covering is Unwind Your Mind from Headspace, which does a lot of relaxation and meditation-like programs for the platform. For the interactive part, there really isn't much to it. You just pick from one of 3 options if you want to either meditate, relax, or help get some sleep. For the meditate option, you could choose if you're feeling either overwhelmed, restless, or tense, along with the length of the session, and it will play a trippy animation to help relieve you of whatever issue you're currently facing. There's also a soft-talking narration that plays during the session as well.
Then just shifting your attention to that image, that idea of sunlight flowing down.
For the relax option, you could choose if you're feeling either stressed, anxious, or agitated with an animation along with soft talking commentary for each option.
Let's begin the exercise by lying flat on your back or leaning back comfortably on your couch.
For the sleep option, you can pick from one of 4 environments to fall asleep to, with the animation, ambient sounds for that environment, and soft talking commentary playing for a really long time.
All around the water, it's possible to just make out the tiny glowing plankton. It's almost as though someone has thrown a handful of gold dust into the water.
After a while, the commentary stops to help you fall asleep. I don't know exactly how long this goes on for, but I stopped recording this after an hour, so it probably goes on for a really long time. If you're someone who feels the need to unwind, I could see you giving this a try. Whether or not it works is up to you to decide. Moving on. If you don't feel like meditating, there are a lot of choose-your-own adventures that Netflix has provided. The first one of these that I'll be covering is You vs. Wild Out Cold, which is based on the survival series Man vs. Wild. I just chose this one because it's not categorized with the series and it's also the shortest in length. The special starts with Bear Grylls surviving a helicopter crash in the middle of the mountainous wilderness. After he regains composure, he asks you a series of questions on what the best survival moves are, and you use a remote to choose the best answers. For the first question, Bear asks what you should do first, with the 3 options being either to find water, find food, or build the shelter. I picked to build the shelter because based on my experience of years watching Survivor, the first thing the castaways do after hitting the beach is to start building the shelter. Bear then makes a shelter out of a fallen tree and the parachute that he used after jumping out of the helicopter. He then proceeds to build a fire. After building the shelter, Bear then asks what the next thing to do is, whether that would be to find food or find water. I chose water because I know you can survive longer without food than without water. And, spoiler alert, he doesn't drink his own piss. When trekking for water, Bear finds some sheets of ice which he then collects to melt, which would then turn into clean drinking water. On the way back from collecting water, Bear then spots an animal carcass of what I think is a bear, and I'm saying a bear, not Bear Grylls. From this, Bear then proceeds to get some meat from the animal carcass as well as skinning the carcass for its fur to provide warmth. So far, I'm nailing it with these choices. Throughout the short, flashbacks are played which showcases Bear's trauma of having to parachute out of a helicopter. The next morning, Bear is chased out of his shelter by a wolf. While being chased by the wolf, Bear asks us what's the best route to take to lose the wolf. Go through the forest or go to higher ground. I chose higher ground because I was thinking that wolves aren't very good climbers, and I'm guessing that I was right based on my answer. I don't know if forest leads to a dead end where I'd have to cycle back and try again. After Bear sneaks through a crawl space in the high ground and blocks it off with a tree branch, Bear then explores the mountains where he starts talking to the pilot of the crashed helicopter.
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Bear? Oh, thank God, you're alive. Look, I need your help. I'm on the other side of the mountain from where you're jacked out. I can't move. And I'm afraid the plane is gonna go over the edge.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm above the tree line now. I'm gonna come for you. Just hold tight, hold tight, and it's alright, we're gonna find you.
Alright, Bear.
Out.
From there, Bear notices a series of tunnels within the mountains. After noticing, Bear then asks if we should keep climbing up the mountain or take the tunnels up the mountain. I chose tunnels because I thought it would be cooler. When Bear discovers the tunnels, he notices some artifacts, with one of those artifacts being an oil lantern with some juice left in it. When picking up the lantern, Bear asks if we should use the lantern immediately or sparingly. I chose sparingly because it's just common sense. When trekking the tunnels, Bear notices some tiles and rope and then asks which should you use to retrace your steps within the tunnels. I chose rope because, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention during this part. After that, Bear finds a cockroach and a millipede and asks us which of these should he eat. No, I'm not joking. I chose cockroach because I saw that as the less gross option. Moving on. Bear then proceeds to light the lantern and finds a rusty metal door, which he then opens and notices a wire which he assumes is a booby trap and steps over it, and then exits the tunnel from there. After leaving the tunnels, Bear notices a plane wreckage with two different trails diverting from it, one with footsteps and another with blood. I chose blood like an idiot, and apparently that was wrong because it led to a bear cave.
Go!
Look at that.
A rib of something.
That doesn't look like Joe.
This isn't good.
And the special took me back to the decision between the mountain and the tunnels. This time, I chose the mountain for a change of scenery. While trekking the mountain, Bear asks whether he should traverse a narrow snowy cliff or rock climb. I chose rock climb because that seemed like the safer option. After climbing, Bear develops a headache from the high altitude. He then asks if we should either push through it or wait to let his body acclimatize. I chose to acclimatize because I really wanted to play it safe after that boneheaded decision I made to pick the blood path. After acclimatizing, Bear asks if we should either take the switchbacks or chimney climb to the top. I chose switchbacks. After taking the switchbacks, we finally found Joe, stuck in the helicopter with the helicopter coming close to falling off. After that, we're found with one last option, either climb down and help Joe, or throw him the rope. I chose to throw the rope because I thought it would be faster, and I was right as Joe managed to escape the helicopter crash in the nick of time. And just like that, this special is done. If you're someone who's an outdoorsy guy or a fan of survival shows, I could see you enjoying the You vs. Wild series. If you're not a fan of survival shows, there's also a WWE-themed interactive special called Escape the Undertaker. The special starts with the Undertaker asking you if you're brave enough to wield his urn. I chose yes because that's what the special is about. 3 wrestlers are then invited into the Undertaker's mansion: Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E. When in the mansion, the trio is immediately taken in by the sounds of whispers, a trail of lights, and a bed of fog. You then decide which of these should you follow. I picked whispers for no reason. I just picked one. When following the whispers, Big E is strapped to a chair and the other 2 break him out. After the trio notices the urn, the Undertaker's voice echoes throughout the room saying, "The ritual has begun."
The ritual has begun. My urn loves to consume the souls of the good. When it has consumed the last drop, your soul will be mine forever.
Come on, man! Come on, quit messing around!
The trio are now frantically scrambling to prevent Big E's soul from being consumed by the Undertaker. They come across a keyhole with 2 symbols, with one leading upstairs and another leading to the basement. I chose the basement first. When in the basement, the trio notices the key suspiciously hiding in plain sight with a bed of mist surrounding it. Xavier thinks this is all just a ploy to scare them, and we are then given another option deciding whether the 2 should follow Xavier or stay behind. I chose to stay behind just in case it was a trap, and I was right. The other 2 proceed to play The Floor is Lava with the fog, and after climbing over furniture, they proceed to get the key. After getting the key, they discover the key they got from the basement is only half a key.
Why didn't the other half unlock? I don't know. The key didn't turn all the way. What happened?
You've only got one half of the key. Soon, the ritual will be complete.
And they have to go upstairs to get the other half. You then choose if they should either stick to the plan or just abandon the plan and try to bust the urn. I chose to stick to the plan because I felt like abandoning it would just be a dead end. When upstairs, the trio noticed a book with Power Vial in it. From there, you can choose to either take it or put it back. I kinda went too fast on this one and chose keep it without any thought. Kofi also proceeds to climb a bookcase, and you can choose either to follow Kofi or stay behind. I chose to stay behind because staying behind was the winning strat last time, and I figured it would be the same here. After the 2 get the other half of the key from the gator's mouth, they proceed to free the urn.
Now let's get this urn and get the hell up out of here!
Not so fast. To even lay a finger on the urn will force you to confront your deepest, darkest fear.
After touching the urn, all 3 of them are sucked into their worst fears, and you get to pick which one you want to witness. I chose Xavier's because that was the first option, and it shows him in a coffin being buried alive by the Undertaker.
Let me out!
I'll release you, but only if you join me and help defeat your so-called friends, Kofi and Big E.
Please, anybody!
The choice is yours.
I'll never join you. I'll never betray my friends.
After witnessing one of their fears, the trio proceeded to take on the Undertaker in a 1-on-3 wrestling match. From there, you get to decide which of the 3 gets the opening attack. I chose Big E because, again, that was the first option. After some intense wrestling, The Undertaker has Xavier and Kofi trapped in chains, and you decide whether Big E should take the urn or destroy it. I chose to destroy it because it felt like the better option. After drinking the power vial, wow, glad I made that choice even though I didn't think about it, Biggie then becomes super strong and destroys the urn with a sledgehammer. Afterward, the Undertaker mysteriously vanishes, and the trio proceeds to leave the mansion. If you're a huge WWE fan, I can see you liking this one. There are also a lot of animated interactive specials. One of them is Carmen Sandiego, To Steal or Not to Steal. This is based on the Netflix animated series, which in turn is based on the series of computer games by Broderbund Software. The special starts with Carmen and her crew members, Zack and Ivy, in Shanghai, doing a heist with her crew, giving her an option to either enter through the top floor or the ground floor. One thing I like about the special is that whenever you have to make a decision, Carmen's body will be facing the screen with her looking either left or right at the two choices, with her walking you through the choices. I just find this to be a nice touch. After picking the top floor and watching Carmen break in through the janitor's closet, we are told that the rival spy agency, Vile, has kidnapped Carmen's crew and says that Carmen must work for them or else Zack and Ivy's memories will be wiped clean.
And I promise that your colleagues will receive the business end of the wiper.
There, you can choose to either rescue Zack and Ivy now, or work for Vile until you can come up with a plan. I chose to work for Vile because I feel like that's what they would want me to do. The first task Vile wants you to do is to steal a warrior statue from Xi'an. When at Xi'an, Carmen encounters Vile's spy Tigress, and you must choose to either sneak past her or talk to her. I chose to sneak, but Tigress eventually caught us.
If it's not cats, it's dogs.
Oh, did those little doggies scare big brave Carmen Sandiego?
After exploring an underground tunnel, the two fall into a pit with Carmen hopping out in the nick of time. From there, you can choose to either help Tigress out or leave her there. I chose to leave her because I thought she was annoying as hell. I also got a notification saying, Tigress will remember that you left her. Surely that won't come back to bite me in the ass. After you get caught trying to steal one of the statues, you could choose to hitch a ride on the statue or blend in. I initially chose to jump, but that failed, so I guess hide is the correct answer. After getting the statue, Vile lets Carmen see that Zack and Ivy are still okay, and they then let you choose which heist you want to go with.
You might enjoy my caper, since it involves exploring Earth's distant past.
Yawn. With my caper, you will attend an extravagant gala and rub elbows with the rich and famous.
You could choose Cleo's heist at a gala, or Bellum's heist at an archaeological site. I chose Bellum's cause that sounded cooler. For Bellman's heist, Carmen goes to Montana and notices a plane taking off with a research lab close by.
I could find the lab and steal the bone there, which could be risky if it has high security, or I can try to catch the plane before it takes off, which is risky and dangerous.
From there, you could either choose to go into the lab or catch the plane. I chose to catch the plane because I want action in my spy programs. Apparently, catching the plane didn't work, so it just redirected my choice to the lab. While heading to the lab, Bellum provides Carmen with a partner that you have to choose from. You could choose the digger, El Topo, or the climber, Leshev. I chose Leshev cause why not? After Carmen scales the wall and enters the lab, Carmen is surrounded by Acme agents and you could choose to either hide or run. I chose hide because that was the right choice in the statue heist, which was apparently the wrong choice in the dinosaur heist, so run it is. After stealing the bone, Carmen runs on a roller coaster track with Acme agents chasing after her in the cart. After evading the Acme agents, you get more proof that Zack and Ivy are still safe.
Leftovers, Ivy. I'm enjoying pretend dessert right now.
Compare and contrast the two images. Look at the sunlight through the window. We spoke to Zack and Ivy at two completely different times of day. But what are the chances we'd get the exact same amount of light both times?
It could be a fake out. Or they're being held in the one place on Earth where the sun is up all day and all night this time of year.
It turns out Carmen was actually taking pictures of Zack and Ivy and was sending them to another one of her crew members named Claire, in hopes that he would decipher where Zack and Ivy are. After finding out that they are being held in the North Pole, you could choose to either rescue them now or steal for Vile one last time. I chose to just rescue them now because I just want this to be over with. After storming Vile's North Pole headquarters, you encounter Tigress, who refused to help me out because I didn't help her out of that pit. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
I wanted to help out of that pit. Guess neither one of us is getting what we want.
But it doesn't matter anyway since I rescued Zack and Ivy.
Another round?
You said we were celebrating.
Tweedledee and Tweedledumdee. Your first mission as Vile operatives will be to capture Carmen Sandiego and bring her to us.
Or so I thought, because they became possessed by Vile and are now their slaves. Well shit, guess I have to go back and help Tigress.
I'll help you just this once.
Wait, what?
I know how cats like to play with string.
Since I got pushed back so far, I decided to show Cleo's heist at the gala. Cleo wants you to go to a gala in Monaco to steal some expensive caviar. At the gala, you encounter Acme ally Julia and are then asked by one of the patrons if you want to dance with them. I chose to accept because he seems like a nice guy and I'm not getting any younger. While dancing, Julia spots Carmen and asks her if she's stealing the caviar for Acme.
Yes, of course. So good to see you again, Miss Santa Rosa. I can surmise why you are here. Acme received intel that a Vile operative is targeting the beluga caviar. I'm sure you are here to secure it before they can steal it, as always.
From there, you could either choose to trust Julia or trick her. I chose to trust her because I think the special wants you to make honest choices.
Jules, listen, I am the operative sent here to steal the beluga caviar for Vile.
I don't understand. Why would you be stealing for Vile?
That's all I can tell you right now. Please, I'm trusting you with this information. You just have to trust that I have my reasons.
They had better be good ones, Miss Santa Rosa.
After telling Julia, Carmen tries to decide how she should steal the caviar. From there, you could choose to either stash or dash. I chose dash because that worked for the dinosaur mission. After stealing the caviar, Carmen meets Julia at an airport and asks her for help.
How does she keep doing that?
Jules, I could really use your help.
Sure?
Since I chose to trust her, she helped me out in the rescue mission. Carmen then rescues Zack and Ivy, and all the goods she stole for Vile are then gifted to Julia. You then get congratulated for making the right choices, and are gifted a secret bonus scene for your work. Well, it's not so much of a secret now since I was recording it. Ha! I outsmarted you. Lol, get wrecked, bozo. The bonus scene sucks though. It's just a music video.
Around the world, from Kiev to Carolina.
She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize.
Moving on. There's also another Choose Your Own Adventure special based on the animated series The Last Kids on Earth, which in turn is based on a series of illustrated novels by Max Brallier. The special starts with the four main kids, Jack, Quint, June, and Dirk, fighting a giant monster. From there, you can choose to either evade the monster in your truck or fight it head on. My mama didn't raise no pussy, so I chose to fight it. When fighting the monster, Jack tells Quint to use one of his gadgets to defeat the monster. From there, you could choose either plungers or fireworks. I chose fireworks because fireworks are far more damaging than plungers. After defeating the monster, the four then return to their hideout to find out that today is June's birthday.
Guys, this is the first birthday for any of us since things went all wonky. We can't just not celebrate. If we do, then what's next? No Christmas? No New Year's? No Seesaw Sundays?
After getting Jack to convince the crew to celebrate June's party, they are then tasked to get cake, balloons, and a nacho cheese fondue fountain for the party. From there, you could choose to either get the cake first, the balloons, the cheese fountain, or have the four split up. I chose split up because I wanted to get this over with.
Sweet Galileo's ghost! You scared me!
I just wanted nacho cheese! And a fountain!
Aw, man! Let's split up. Safe and sensible. Great idea, Dirk! Help!
Splitting up was apparently the wrong choice because all four of them died trying to get the supplies. Jesus, I can't believe I have the deaths of innocent children on my conscience. Feels like shit. Or I could just go back, which I did, and apparently I was being a dumbass and couldn't tell the difference between try again and restart, and unintentionally started the whole damn thing over again. Well, I chose to evade the monster this time because I thought it would be faster, and I was right. Instead of splitting up, I chose to get the fountain first because that's what June was most excited about, and she's the birthday girl, so... When going to the middle school to get the fountain, the other four encounter a monster named Scalka, who lost her battle axe, and there's also an octopus monster guarding the school. When retreating in the truck, you can choose to either trap the monster, build a giant robot to fight it, or keep talking. I chose to trap it because that sounded like the smartest thing to do. The trap worked, and the four entered the school to get the fountain and the nacho cheese. When getting the nacho fountain, the four come across Scalka's lost axe. From there, you could decide if the four should either keep the axe, return it, or look into some spooky cookbook that has nothing to do with the plan. I made the ethical choice and chose to return the axe because if the Carmen Sandiego special was any indicator, it helps to be selfless. After returning the axe, the four are caught in tentacle traps only to be bailed out by Scalka and her axe. See, it helps to be selfless. You also get a magical ring as a token of gratitude. After getting the fountain, you could choose to either get the cake next, the balloon next, or go back to the treehouse and call it a day. I chose the treehouse thinking it was going to end right there. And I was wrong, as the four get eaten by a monster in a truck and the monster that ate them gets eaten by another monster, with that monster getting eaten by a bigger monster. I guess the special doesn't reward quitters. I chose to get the balloons next because we already got food in the form of the cheese fountain. When going to the party store to get balloons, they encounter their monster dog, Rover. When searching the store, they look into the flooded basement to try to find something. After much debating between the four, you could choose to have all four kids go into the basement, have only Dirk go into the basement, or follow Rover. I chose to follow Rover because that sounded like the safest option.
Following Rover around isn't the worst idea in the world.
Maybe he'll lead us to some balloons.
Well, it turned out that following Rover was a complete waste of time, and now I have the option to choose between the other two options. I chose to have all 4 kids go down because the last time I chose to split up, it resulted in the kids dying. And we don't want any more dead kids, now do we? When in the flooded basement, Quint notices a monster in the water, and the batteries in their only flashlight go out. From there, you can choose to either get batteries or go in the dark. I chose batteries because that felt like the safer option. And I was right. When going back to the flooded basement, they encounter another monster who tries to eat them. After the 4 reach higher ground for safety, the monster proceeds to grab them with its tentacles, only for Dirk to free them by firing helium tanks at it. After getting the balloons, let's finally get that cake. I also forgot to mention that the romantic tension between Jack and June increasingly grows throughout this part of the special.
You can't have a birthday without birthday cake.
This is actually really nice of you, Jack. So, anyway, birthday. Who's on the guest list?
I can't believe I'm at the movies with Jude.
Ignoring you. Pass the popcorn.
I can't believe I'm passing popcorn to Jude.
When the 4 go to the grocery store to get the cake, the 4 notice a bunch of zombies blocking the entrance to the store. From there, you could choose to either distract the zombies, barrel through them, or go to the nearby movie theater. I chose movie because why not? After just watching the trailer and not the movie,
first they battled zombies, then they battled monsters. Now they must face the unthinkable, battling zombies and monsters in space.
You can choose to either distract the zombies, barrel through them, or mock the movie. I chose to barrel through because it didn't involve having one of the team members be separated. That wasn't the right choice because June ended up getting bitten by a zombie and became one. The boys still ended up celebrating her birthday at the treehouse. They just kept her under control by trapping her in a pool float and poking at her with sticks. Well, I did it. I finished the special. I mean, I did beat it on a technicality because the birthday party ended up happening, even though June is a zombie. I was seriously considering ending it right there, but then I was like, fuck it, no half-assing this, and just went back and chose to distract the zombies.
New service!
After trapping the zombies, the 4 enter the store and find the cakes that are unfortunately being guarded by a sleeping monster. From there, you could choose to either sneak and grab the cakes, call your monster friend Big Gun, or dash and grab the cakes. I chose to call Big Gun because it never hurts to ask for help. After calling Big Gun, the 4 try to fight off the monster to stall time. Jack is then caught by the monster, and you choose whether the other 3 should either help Jack or run for safety. I chose to help Jack because not having the gang split up seems to be the winning strat here. The 3 end up freeing Jack just in time for Big Gun to save them all. After the 4 get the cake and drive back, they are then bombarded by the same flying monster they encountered at the store. They fight off that monster by using a helium tank on it, where they are immediately encountered by yet another monster, which they end up fending off with Skalka's ring. They are then encountered by the zombies. The 4 then fight them off by throwing cakes at them. Finally, they approach a big stadium where a massive surprise party is thrown for June with all their monster friends. The 4 then celebrate June's birthday at the stadium, and Jack ends up moving one step closer to repopulating the human race with June, and all is well. Or, as well as it could be in a post-apocalyptic scenario. The next interactive special is one that is based on the cartoon that almost everyone on the internet had a throbbing hate boner towards for some apparent reason, Johnny Test.
Fuck this show. Here we go, I'm starting to piss off right now. I should have made another teacher, but you wanna know why? Now I have to do my rant on this. Shit. Sorry, I'm acting angry right now, but I am angry. Why? Because I hate this show. I hate this show so fucking much. Fuck this show. 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 Fuck this. I hate this show. I hate it so much. I've hated this show for 5 years, and I never stopped hating it since. I despise this horrible show. I wanted it to get cancelled so badly, and thank God it got cancelled last year. Fuck Samba for saying that I'm wrong to hate Johnny Test. I can hate Johnny Test all the fuck I want. Why? Because it's my fucking opinion.
I really don't understand how this show ended up being so hated. I don't think the show is amazing by any measure, but I really have no reason to hate it with every fiber of my being either. I mean, it's not like Johnny Test was responsible for the outbreak of COVID or the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The plot of the special is that it's Meatloaf night at the Test household, and Johnny's sisters, Mary and Susan, are experimenting with alternate reality portals like their names are Rick Sanchez. The purpose of the portals is to find an alternate universe where Johnny's dad has a good meatloaf so they could swap it out with the bad one, with extra points going towards retrieving the recipe for the good meatloaf. Johnny's sisters also try to control him with an interactive headband just in case if anything goes wrong. Johnny's sisters test the interactive headband by giving him a multi-ray. One side shoots Froyo and the other side shoots a beam, and is tasked to defend himself from a monster. I chose the stun beam because I crave violence. After choosing the stun beam, Johnny's sisters are puzzled and mention that they chose the Froyo. Johnny is then worried that someone else, aka you, the viewer, is controlling him.
Wait, so something from somewhere else controls what I do?
It's just a glitch.
After the practice submission, you get to choose from either the blue portal or the red portal to get the meatloaf. I chose the red portal because I thought of it like the red pill from the Matrix. Yes, I'm applying Matrix logic to a Johnny Test interactive special. What are you going to do about it? After going into the red portal, Johnny and Dookie are transported to an alternate reality where humans are monsters. When at the front door, you can choose to either have Johnny ring the front doorbell or just walk right in. I picked the doorbell because it never hurts to be polite. After being scared off by the monster version of Johnny's dad, Johnny and Dookie decide to enter through the back door into the kitchen. When in the kitchen, Johnny and Dookie try to steal the giant meatloaf from the kitchen and are unable to move it. They get caught by the monster version of Johnny's dad, and Johnny uses the multi-ray to keep the monster at bay. Again, you could choose either the Froyo setting or the stun setting. I chose the stun setting again. The stun effect was useless since it just made the monster sneeze. After Johnny and Dookie run out of the kitchen, they are then encountered by the monster version of Johnny's mom. From there, you could choose to either sneak out under the legs or run upstairs. I was feeling a little frisky, so I chose legs. After sliding under the legs, Johnny and Dookie make a run to the portal and accidentally take their monster counterparts back with them. After gaining the monster's approval by licking them, the red portal is destroyed, and Johnny invites his monster counterpart to dinner where Monster Johnny and Monster Dookie end up eating the meatloaf. I ended up going back and chose the upstairs route. After locking the monster versions of Johnny's parents out of their own home, it cuts back to Mary and Susan in the lab, who then find out who's controlling Johnny, aka you, and briefly talk to you to give you one of two options.
Hello, whoever you are. We know you have control of our brother. And whatever alternate realm he's in, please remind him. There must be an alternate lab that can help. Or an emergency escape pod in the hallway closet.
Girls, Johnny, wash up, cause it's almost meatloaf time!
Please help us. You're our only hope.
I chose the escape pod because it seemed straightforward. This decision leads to Johnny and Dookie going to the Monster Universe version of their sister's lab, where they then encounter monster versions of Mary and Susan. When encountering them, you could choose to either beg them or lick them. I chose to beg, but it led to not getting the meatloaf and a possibly worse ending than what I originally got, so I went back again and chose to lick them. It turns out licking was the better option, and Monster Mary and Susan get a device that translates whatever Johnny and Dookie are saying. They then offer Johnny and Dookie a new multi-ray that shoots bacon and can make you stronger. After going back into the portal, Johnny stuffs the meatloaf with bacon via the bacon ray, and Meatloaf Night is saved. To all of you Mega Johnny Test haters out there, that wasn't so bad, now was it? The next one is probably my favorite of the Choose Your Own Adventure specials, that being Buddy Thunderstruck, The Maybe Pile, which is based on a short-lived animated series on Netflix. The special starts with a montage of all of the terrible ideas concocted by the main duo, Buddy Thunderstruck and his friend Darnell.
Well, that was a terrible idea. Well, that was a terrible idea. Well, that was a terrible idea. Oh, well, that was a terrible idea. Pardon, Nugget, that was a terrible idea.
After complaining about how they never have any awesome ideas, they consult the maybe pile, a bag of ideas they had but never followed through on, in search of their really good idea. Darnell suggests that they pull out 2 at a time and pick one of them to go along with. The first choice is between a garbage pizza, which is a pizza topped with a lot of foods, and espresso cubed, where they drink 3 triple espressos. I chose the espressos because garbage pizza just sounded gross. After drinking the 3 espressos, Buddy and Darnell go on a massive caffeine rush. This plan then backfires after they eat chicken wings belonging to a big strong dog named Artichoke. Artichoke gets angry and throws the duo out of the diner. Buddy and Darnell decide to search through the maybe pile again and choose between either trying to get superpowers or exploring a raw sewage pit. I chose superpowers because that sounded better. Buddy and Darnell try to get superpowers by drinking radioactive soda, which obviously doesn't give them superpowers. After a visit from the doctor, the 2 consult the maybe pile again. The choices are either to get jacked or a sneaky Wet Willy contest. I chose get jacked because the Wet Willy one just sounded gross. After building a weight bench, the 2 immediately give up on trying to get jacked. The next 2 choices are nearly identical. One is to jump Sludge Puddle Creek from the north blindfolded, the other is to jump Sludge Puddle Creek from the north with no blindfold. I chose without the blindfold because I want them to have less of a terrible idea than they already do. After making the jump, the duo realized that it was boring.
That was boring. Stupid boring. Shoot, I'm so mad I want to drive over something and crush it. Like a bike, or a car, or a vending machine, or a baby possum. Baby possum? Man, you are dark. No, baby possum!
After complaining about how boring it was, they get distracted from driving and flip over their truck. When calling for roadside assistance, the 2 decide if they either want to rock out or take things easy. I chose to take things easy because they deserve to after all that they've been through. After unintentionally winning the race,
Buddy has won in what is most likely an illegal manner. What the heck? What? But he would have won anyway, so if you have a problem with this, go suck an iceberg's butt. Whoa, okay, having trouble walking here. Oh, there we go, and where's my truck? Watch out now!
Best race ever!
the 2 decide whether or not they want to destroy the maybe pile or power through it just to get everything out of the way. I chose to destroy it because I really want them to have a good idea for once. When trying to find a way to destroy the maybe pile, they consult the maybe pile. Yeah, I'm not joking.
Let's consult the maybe pile. Good idea. Okay, this one says pyrotechnics. This one says the power of suggestion. Whatever that means.
I chose the power of suggestion because I'm curious to see how it would end. Buddy and Darnell proceed to dump all of the maybe pile ideas into a nearby suggestion box for someone else's misfortunes. The special ends when an unlucky employee fails to jump Sludge Puddle Creek from the north. I found this Choose Your Own Adventure special to be my favorite because there's no backpedaling, it doesn't feel like it drags on, or you don't have to wait for a long time for the choices to show up. And on top of that, there were some moments that made me laugh. Almost makes me want to check out the Buddy Thunderstruck series myself. One more thing that I noticed is someone uploaded their own walkthrough of the special on YouTube, and their choices were almost the exact opposite of mine. I thought that was funny because I didn't plan that at all. I swear. DreamWorks also made a lot of these Choose Your Own Adventure Netflix specials that I'm just going to lightning round through, if that's okay with you. The first one is Puss in Book, Trapped in an Epic Tale, which stars Puss in Boots from the Shrek franchise. The plot involves Puss in Boots getting sucked into a magical storybook where you choose the challenges that Puss must overcome in the book. The challenges are based on popular fairy tales, which is what you would usually expect from the Shrek franchise. My choices in the special were to fight a god, which he succeeds at. After that, I chose to visit a giant, which crushed me and redirected me to the other option, which was to be Goldilocks. After speedrunning the story, I chose to have the bears be friends and not foes. After being chased out by kindness, I chose the evil queen, which is based on Snow White. When finding the ugly Snow White, I chose to find the queen over an awkward kiss. After finding out the evil queen is a cat like Puss, which he finds attractive, you could choose either a handshake or a kiss. I chose a handshake, which then redirected me to the kiss. After the kiss, Puss finds a rip in the page and meets the narrator, who is a little mouse. After fighting with the mouse, Puss is then teleported out of the book, and the special ends. The next DreamWorks interactive special is based on the movie The Boss Baby. The special starts with you being interviewed to work for Baby Corp. There are 16 job openings available, and the one you get is based on the decisions you make throughout the special. After a practice choice from picking which of Stacy's fists you get to choose from, I chose right by the way, you are then transported to a maximum security prison. From there, you get to choose between 3 plans to get the Boss Baby. I chose Happy's. After picking, you are then transported to a town event where the parents have to catch their baby in a hay bale maze with a prize for the winners. When controlling the Boss Baby, I chose a tunnel over an open field to hide. When in the tunnel, Happy steals your teleporting Binky, and from there, the Boss Baby challenges Happy to a negotiating fight, which I lose. Guess I was never meant to be a salesman. Back at home, the Boss Baby notices his 4 arch-nemeses collaborating and tries to get to Baby Corp, but the babysitter poses as an obstacle. I chose early bedtime, which happens when the Boss Baby secretly changes the clocks in the house. When at Baby Corp, you get to choose where to go. I chose Babeezy HQ. When there, you bypass the security and go to a factory that makes cashmere sweaters out of cat fur and baby drool. When there, you choose the plan to free the babies. I chose to speak cat, and because of that, the job title I got was Union Rep. Yeah, I know, makes no sense. Moving on. DreamWorks also made a Captain Underpants themed interactive special called Captain Underpants Epic Choice-o-Rama, which sounds like a nod to the Flip-O-Ramas from the Captain Underpants books. The special starts with George and Harold in their treehouse deciding which Captain Underpants comic they should hand out at school. I chose the Trash Truck one. After reading the comic, Mr. Krupp hatches a plan to destroy George and Harold's treehouse with the help of the nerdy snitch, Melvin. When choosing between the plans, I initially chose the sinkhole, which then redirected me to one of the other 2 choices, where I ended up choosing zoning laws. After finding out that part of the treehouse is owned by their neighbor, Mr. Cleveland, George and Harold think he is Viper Chai. When debating Viper Chai, you get to choose which movie you want to see. I picked George's since I sided with Harold last time.
You crossed the line, man! Cross the line.
When George and Harold see Mr. Cleveland talking to Mr. Krupp, you choose how they get to eavesdrop. I chose Zipline. After Mr. Krupp pays Mr. Cleveland to get ownership of his house, George and Harold try to get Mr. Cleveland to reverse his decision. I chose to make him laugh, which didn't work. Back at the treehouse, George and Harold try to hatch a plan to outbid Mr. Krupp. I chose to make a TV show. Back at the principal's office, Mr. Krupp tries to patent a $1 million invention, which is going horribly. Back at the studio, George and Harold made 4 different shows for you to choose from. I chose the musical Doctor Show. When that failed, I chose to have them make a Captain Underpants TV show. When the show becomes successful, Mr. Krupp and Melvin cancel it while George and Harold get sent to detention. When in detention, you get to choose if George and Harold want to watch Mr. Krupp or a reboot. I chose Krupp.
Get in my mouth.
When Mr. Krupp checks in on the boys, they turn him into Captain Underpants and orders him to stop Melvin. I chose to have Captain Underpants help the boys instead of getting rich. After getting his ass handed to by Melvin, Mr. Cleveland comes out as Viper Chai and defeats the machine, and that's the end of the special. The last one I watched is based on Jurassic World. Even though that's not all of the DreamWorks interactive specials, there's one spirit-themed one that I didn't cover. Anyways, the special starts off with a boy named Darius waking up in the middle of the jungle and is immediately spotted by a dinosaur. I chose to climb down a vine as a way of evading the dinosaur. After going down, Darius then meets up with the rest of his team, with his allies all saying that he smells awful.
But how do you explain the smell?
Wait, what? Do I smell?
No?
Define smell.
Not at all!
Really, really bad.
Like a dirty lizard cage that's been left under a heat lamp.
When hiding from a pack of dinos, I chose to wait it out. After hearing about crates of food being stashed, the team immediately heads out to go find it. I also chose to bring a little dino buddy along with me. When trying to find the hidden adventure, I chose to go on the main street. Our little dino friend also helps the team members survive a little ambush. After getting a book from Main Street, one of the pages gets blown away by the wind and is caught on the gate with raging water on the other side. I initially chose to jump, but it got me killed, so it redirected me to climb it. After getting the page, the team heads to the abandoned theme park attraction. The team then takes gyros to get there. One of the gyros gets caught in a dino stampede, and I chose to bump the stuck gyro, which got me killed, so it took me back to bump the dinosaurs. When at the attraction, I chose to learn more about dino behavior. After learning about dino behavior, I chose to leave the attraction via car getaway. While in the getaway, we are being chased by a dinosaur and flips the car on its side. I then chose to follow the ride on foot. After learning about dino behavior, I chose to use Darius's rancid scent to distract the dinos before escaping, getting the food, and ending the special. Okay, just like that, that's all the interactive Choose Your Own Adventure specials that I watched. There's one more type of interactive special that I would now like to cover. Aside from the Choose Your Own Adventure interactive specials, Netflix also has interactive specials that focus more on trivia, and since I'm a sucker for trivia, these specials in particular grabbed my interest, even though there are only 3 of them as of this video. The first of the trivia specials is Triviaverse, and out of all the interactive specials on Netflix, this is the one that plays the most like a legitimate video game. The game introduces you to this demon who's only visible in the form of fiery eyes and tells you that they rule the Triviaverse, and challenges you to answer as many multiple choice trivia questions within 3 minutes. The 3 minutes are divided into 3 1-minute rounds, with the questions in the first round being easy, but getting more difficult with each progressing round. You use the arrows on your remote to choose the answers you think are correct. Some questions only have 2 answers to choose from, while some questions have 4 answers. Each correct answer earns you 100 points, but you can get bonus points for getting a streak of correct answers. If you get 2 consecutive correct answers, you will earn 150 points for the second correct answer instead of just 100. If you get 3 or more consecutive correct answers, you'll get 200 points for the third correct answer from there until you miss a question. I like how this game's scoring system works because it encourages you to think about what the correct answer might be rather than just blindly guessing. After the 3 rounds are over, your score can fall into either one of 10 tiers with scores ranging from at least 1,000 to over 6,000. You can also view your stats for the game that showcase your highest score, your longest streak of correct answers, how many times you've played, as well as your best and worst categories. There's even a 2-player mode where 2 players or teams compete against each other over 2 rounds to try to get the highest score, with their turns alternating between rounds. While I like this game, one problem that I have with it is that the game doesn't get updated with new questions, which means if you played this game as much as I have, the questions are based more on memory rather than knowing the correct answers. Even if you're not a huge trivia fan, I could see you playing a few rounds of this if you're having a huge gathering for a Netflix movie or series and are just waiting for all the guests to arrive and be seated, or if you want something quick on Netflix for some reason. The next trivia special on Netflix is Trivia Quest, which is based on the popular mobile game Trivia Crack. You know, that mobile game where you can submit your own questions regardless of how bad they are, and on top of that even pay for the correct answers. Yeah, that trivia crack. The plot of Trivia Quest focuses on Willie, the anthropomorphic rainbow wheel, asking for her help to rescue his friends from the villain Rocky, an anthropomorphic teal sword who captured them all in his conquest for all the knowledge in Trivia Land. This is pretty accurate to the mobile game since Rocky allowed you to steal the other player's characters there. You help Willie by answering trivia questions correctly, which earns you knowledge points, and if you get enough knowledge points, it forms a knowledge key, which you then use to free one of Willie's friends. This game is played over 30 episodes, with each episode having a particular theme. These themes vary from pop music, to Netflix shows, to automobiles, to pets, and even memes. Each episode has 2 sets of questions based on difficulty, Standard Mode and Hard Mode. Standard Mode is the one that you start out with when playing a new episode. After clearing an episode on Standard Mode for the first time, you can choose to either play the next episode or play Hard Mode. The questions in Standard Mode tend to give you a hint as to what the correct answer is if you read the question carefully, while Hard Mode gives you no hints at all. There are 12 questions for each set of questions, both standard and hard, within each episode. The 12 questions are divided into the 6 categories of trivia crack: history, sports, entertainment, science, geography, and art in that exact order twice for every set of questions in all 30 episodes. If you failed to rescue all of Willie's friends at the end of 30 episodes, you can go back to previous episodes to replay the questions that you originally missed. Once you rescued all 10 of Willie's friends, Tina, Bonzo, Andy, Tito, Sweetie, Hector, Pop, Mark, Albert, and Paige, you then capture Rocky and have officially beaten the game. Overall, I really liked the show. I thought Jonathan Mello did an amazing job voicing Willie and Rocky, especially Willie, since he chose to give him an adult man voice that also sounds childlike and innocent, and nailed it beautifully.
Hey, Brainiacs! I'm Willie. I need your help to free my super smart friends from the bad guy Rocky. You can do that by answering questions correctly on our adventure together. Welcome to Trivia Quest.
All right, it's time to play Trivia Crack. I am Willie, your host.
This is important since Willie constantly chimes in on the experience with his commentary.
Hey, sports fans, let's play. Hey, Einstein, what you got? We're going places. Hop on the brain train. Hope you're prepared for a bigger challenge. Better warm up those vocal cords. You're on track for hard mode.
I also like the little sketch scenes that play before some episodes, like the one where Rocky gets directions from some alien-like creature.
I'm stealing all the knowledge in Trivia Land. Oh, right. Thanks, Demogorgon.
Or the one where Rocky is wearing a wig and Willie tells him to cut his mullet.
Y'all need to recognize that I'm the coolest and smartest guy in Trivia Land.
I'll get you, Rocky, and cut your mullet!
The only problem is that these scenes only play when you start a new episode, meaning if you go back to an episode, that scene won't play again. I also found it funny how some journalists called this game the next Wordle when it first launched. This was because Netflix added a new episode every day throughout April 2022. Seeing how Netflix didn't renew this makes it pretty clear that this wasn't the next Wordle. Other than that, I enjoyed Trivia Quest way more than I enjoyed Trivia Crack. The last, and certainly not the least, of the 3 Netflix interactive trivia specials is Cat Burglar. This special plays like one of those classic Tex Avery cartoons from the 1930s and 1940s. The main difference is that there's an interactive trivia element to it. The plot of this game focuses on the titular cat burglar, Rowdy, overhearing a conversation about a museum displaying a valuable painting in which the museum's director, who has a funny name, Harry D. Balzac, orders the security dog Peanut to protect the painting at all costs. Hearing this conversation motivates Rowdy to break into the museum to steal the painting and make a huge fortune off of it. How this game works is that at certain points in the cartoon, you are presented with 3 50-50 trivia questions. The outcome of the cartoon will depend on whether or not you answer the questions correctly. Answering correctly will cause Rowdy to progress in his pursuit to purloin the prized painting. Answering incorrectly will show Rowdy dying a cartoonishly gruesome death, with you having to play that stage over again. Keep in mind that you only have 3 lives to steal the painting. As for why you don't have 9 lives like a normal cat, Rowdy explains that himself.
Well, there's a reason they don't call me Lucky Cat. So let's get our heads in the game, because if you don't, I might lose mine.
Once you run out of lives, it's game over and you go back to the beginning. There are 6 stages in this game. The first stage involves Rowdy getting over the museum wall. The next stage involves having to shut down the security cameras. Then the third one involves entering the museum, with the 4th stage involving the ancient artifacts section of the museum. The 5th stage involves Rowdy having to get the vault room key from Peanut, with the 6th and final stage involving Rowdy having to navigate the booby trap within the vault room. After clearing all 6 stages, you then get the painting, sell to the rival museum across the street, and earn your fortune. If you clear the game 6 times, you get all of the paintings and have officially 100%ed it. Unlike in Triviaverse and Trivia Quest, Cat Burglar's trivia questions are based more on common sense rather than having an extensive knowledge of useless information, even though they do sneak a legitimate trivia question in there from time to time. Just because Cat Burglar's trivia is more common sense oriented, that does not automatically make it easy. One trick I noticed for the questions is to read both the question and the answers carefully, because if you don't, it will trip you up. On top of that, you have to get all 3 answers correct in order to advance. If you get just one answer wrong, you might as well just put down the remote and accept your fate. Overall, I loved this special. Even without the interactive trivia, I found a lot of the writing and slapstick to be very funny. I especially loved the animation and the orchestral soundtrack, which gives that nice classic cartoon aesthetic that it was going for.
This is my old uniform.
One problem I have with it is that there are only 4 unique scenes for each stage. An example would be in the first stage where Rowdy has to get over the museum wall. Rowdy will either pole vault, tightrope walk, use a grappling hook, or tunnel underground. This is a problem because if you're trying to get all 6 of the paintings, you're going to be getting nothing but repeats halfway through your run. What's funny about this is that Netflix placed this special in the adult animation category. If that's the case, then Cat Burglar automatically places within the top half of adult animated shows on Netflix, even though that's kind of a low bar. If I'm being honest, I'd much rather beat Cat Burglar 30 times than watch an episode of Big Mouth. If you like Tex Avery style cartoons, or if you suck at trivia and want a trivia game that you would be good at, I highly recommend this. Overall, I like that Netflix decided to be innovative and take risks by making interactive entertainment content. While I don't think it's perfect, especially when it comes to the backpedaling, which I found to be a big waste of time and just makes these specials a slugfest to sit through, I honestly believe that some of these specials hold some novelty, and I would highly recommend trying at least one of the Choose Your Own Adventure specials out. As for the trivia specials, I believe Netflix struck gold with those, and I wish they made more of them. But that's just me. So, what do you think of the Netflix interactive specials? Do you wish Netflix made more of these? If you watched a Netflix interactive special before watching this video, what was your own experience like with them? If you've never watched a Netflix interactive special, would you try it out based on what I described? Feel free to leave your takes in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.